If you were out on the California Delta last week, you probably had a smile on your face because last week was the breakout weekend for the Delta for both stripers and largemouth. They arrived, and they arrived with an appetite. So with that, let's take a look at a few pictures, then we'll get right into what's going on. We'll talk about everything you need to know when you come out to fish the California Delta. Let's check out these pics. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta, and this is the weekly fishing report for March 26. And as I said in the intro, the fishing really broke open this past week. Stripers, largemouth, they're hungry, they're feeding. The fishing has been very good. So today we're going to really concentrate on the Delta. We're going to kind of skip the mother lode. We're going to skip Clear Lake. I can tell you very quickly that I know Clear Lake is fishing well. I have had friends up at Maloney's. They're catching the spots up there. I know Don Pedro is going strong. Barry S is going strong. Everything is opening up right now. So whether you're fishing the Delta or any of the mother lode lakes, you should be having a lot of fun this time of year. Next week, I'll touch bases with Clear Lake Outdoors, and I'll try to get a hold of Central Valley bait and tackle down in Modesto, get a little report for you guys from down around Don Pedro. But everything's going well. Let's talk about some very quick river business, and then we'll get into the Delta business. And first, I want to thank everyone who came out to the Central Valley swap meet out in Modesto last week. Stop by and say hi. Thanks a lot. I enjoyed talking to all you folks out there. It was a great swap meet and just a lot of fun. I learned this week that there will be a quarterly swap meet going on in Modesto, and that is for the same organization. It's the Cast for a Cause, and it is known as the Central Valley, I think the Central Valley Swap Meet. I don't have the dates up there, but I have the flyer, so I'll put the flyer up there. And just be aware, if you're around that Modesto area, they're going to have a quarterly swap meet. It's a great place to go pick up some gear and maybe sell a little bit of gear. So we'll have that flyer up. Also, we have this Sunday, the Rio Custom Boat Works Coast Guard Vessel Inspection and Fisherman Swap Meet. That's here at Paradise Point in Stockton. I'm going to be in charge of helping guys set up their booths, and it is a free deal, so just bring out a table and a chair, bring the stuff that you have to sell. It's going to be in the parking lot just behind Paradise Point launch ramp. If you see me out there, give me a holler. I'll show you where you can set up your table, and Jim will be out there, directing traffic for you guys that are bringing your boats in to get the vessel inspection. If you have any questions, call Jim at 209-915-9880. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is the Channel Cat Classic up at Clear Lake. I forgot to put down the date here on my notes, but I've got the flyer up there. My buddy Richard Moody is the tournament director, and if you guys are catfish guys, you got to get up there, not just for the trophy, but it's $8,000 guaranteed first prize. Not a bad deal. You can buy a lot of stink bait with $8,000. So with that, let's get right into what's going on out here on the California Delta. And I can tell you that the river has really turned around in the last week or two. Water temperatures are high 60s, right up to about 70 degrees. The clarity has really cleared up. I have gotten reports all the way from up north. Liberty looks like 5 feet of visibility. Out around the meadows is 5 feet. I know here in the Central Delta, 5 feet of viz. I was out at Frank's Track yesterday. That had great viz. I have had a few people say that they have had some, a little bit of maybe not so much visibility down south, but I think that's clearing up also. The vegetation is looking good. It's cleaning up with some of our tides, washing out some of that silt out of the subsurface vegetation. And everything here on the Delta is looking good. And I think that water temperature, once it got up to about 60 degrees and started climbing, that's what pulled the stripers in, and that's what put the largemouth bass on the bite. So let's talk about stripers first off. The good news for Stockton area residents is we're seeing a lot more fish, I'm going to say between Ladd's and Prisoner's Point. The fish have flooded in from Frank's Track into the, I'll call it the central dirty delta here around the area of Stockton. Frank's Track is fishing well. I was out there a couple days ago, and lots of guys out there fishing, a lot of guys trolling, a lot of guys throwing plugs. I talked to Rob from the Bass Hole. He had one report of a 30-pound fish coming in somewhere around there in the Frank's Track. That came on a big swim bait, but I know the trollers are picking up fish, and I also know that the bank anglers are, or excuse me, the bait anglers are picking up fish. A lot more fish coming and being reported from bass anglers who are catching incidental catches. I did talk to Bryce Tedford from Bryce Tedford Fly Fishing Guide Service. He was out fishing the main channel, saw him out there this week. He reported he's been picking up on the fly with a fly rod anywhere from 12 to 15 fish up to about 7-8 pounds, and he's fishing pretty local. He generally goes out of B&W area. He's catching a lot of fish out there, and remember, it is much more difficult to pull a striper with a fly rod than it is with bait or a bait chucker. So if you want to have a thrill and you're looking for a challenge, give Bryce out at Bryce Tedford Fly Fishing Guide Service a call. He'll take you out there. He's got all the gear, take you out fly fishing. He'll show you how to cast. It's going to be a challenge, but if you want to be able to say, I've caught a striper on a fly, he'll help you with that. So that's Bryce Tedford's report. Jeff Suhu, I didn't talk to Jeff this week, but I know Jeff is on the fish. If you were looking for a bait fish trip, call Jeff out at Suhu Sport Fishing. I guarantee you Jeff will put you on the fish. Also, we have, oh, guess what? Joe from Core Fishing, he has been out. Now, I talked to Joe, or Joe sent me a report. His first trip of the year, he went up north to Liberty. He was pushing topwater. He wanted to get some topwater stripers. He blanked on stripers. The good thing is, he told me he caught a bunch of largemouth bass while he was looking for stripers. So if you're friends with Joe and you're acquainted with his YouTube channel, start watching Joe's channel. He's going to be posting a lot of stuff, I'm sure, coming up on stripers, and I'll be getting some reports from Joe, I know it. And Joe will get into the stripers, and he's really good about giving up the information and letting everybody know what he's doing out there. So that's Joe from Core Fishing. Also, I talked to Joey Price from Priceless Fishing. Joey's the guy you want to hit up right now if you are going out and you want to do a multi-species trip. I've got some pictures of some of the recent trips that Joey's been on. He's saying that both stripers and largemouth have just been increasing week by week. He's having great trips out there, and if you want to do that multi-species trip, Joey's a good guy to call. You'll get lots of action and you're going to have a good time. Along with that, I know Christian Ostrander is going to be back in town for you guys, tournament guys that want to go out with a real tournament professional and try to get the information that you're going to need to start cashing checks or maybe win a few tournaments. You want to go out with Christian. He will be back in town. I know he was fishing down at Havasu for the BAM tournament, but I know he's back in town now and he's going to be out here guiding too. Everyone that I'm talking about here, their information is down in the remarks. You can get a hold of them. I have their numbers and their contact information. So let's get right into the largemouth bass, and things are perking up. The fishing has been good. I wouldn't say it's great right now, but it's good and improving. It's been improving for the last couple weeks. We've got really good water quality out here. It's perfect for bass fishing and things are looking good. And I'm going to start off by saying for you guys coming out this week, we've got a good set of tides coming in starting Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. those are going to be the days to get out here right before the full moon. I think you're going to find some really, really top-notch fishing. Let's talk about the spawn. Everybody's, ready for the pre-spawn, the spawn, the big girls. The one thing that might be missing in this week's report is a lot of great big fish. The fish are in pre-spawn. Most of the fish are in pre-spawn. There are a few fish that are in, full bloom spawn. You can find a few fish partnering up in the shallows, males, females. But all in all, you're not going to see a whole lot of that. I think that's not going to be this moon phase. It's going to be the next moon phase. So before I actually get into telling you what people have been doing out here, weekend guys, what I've been doing and some of the patterns that have been happening, I just want to go through a few of the tournaments that were held in the last week. The Delta Bass Club was out, and I didn't catch how many boats they had. They usually have about 12 boats. It took 19.7 to win, second was 19.4, and third was 18.3. Those are good weights for the Delta Bass Club, and I think they had some, some 12 and 13 pound bags, in the mix there that were just out of the money. The Thursday tournament took 23 pounds to win. They had 13 boats, 23 pounds to win. 21 was second, 19, they had 18, and I think there was a 9-pound fish. I think I saw a couple of 6s and 7s come in. They had some big fish. Most of those guys are down south. Those fish are probably a little farther along in the spawn, so that's why they got some of the bigger fish. They had the Golden Mussel BBT tournament. That was 36 boats out there. 26.6 to win, 24 was second. They had a 21-pound bag. They had another 20-pound bag. 15 pounds was mid-pack out of the 30 boats. That's pretty darn good fishing. I think it was Lorenzo Rossetti had the 26.6 bag to win. Don't think you're going to go out there and beat Lorenzo Rossetti. That's a big bag, and that's something that you can only hope for maybe once or twice a year if you're lucky and if you know what's going on. But all in all, those are really good weights, and they're improving. I think what we're going to see in the next month, there's going to be a lot more of the bigger females in the mix. Right now, a lot of folks are catching a lot of the big males that are 3 to 4 pounds, 4 1/4. Anything over 5 is a good fish, and anything over 6 or 7, that's obviously a stud out here. But we're going to see more of those in the mix. Now, what are people doing out here? And by the way, doesn't matter where you are on the Delta right now. I have been fishing the Central. I fished Frank's track the other day. It seems like everywhere I go, I'm doing about the same. I'm catching fish, getting fairly good numbers. It's tide related. It's hard to find the big fish over 5 pounds. This week I did catch a couple of, I actually caught, I believe, 3 fish over 5 pounds. The only downside on that is all 3 of those fish were first thing in the morning, and they came in about a 15-minute time frame. After that, it was back to the 3 or 4 pound fish. We'll talk about that morning that I was out and did really well here in a minute. But everyone's catching fish. I'm getting reports from Liberty. I'm getting reports from the south, Frank's track area. Everybody's catching fish. Go out of wherever is closest to your house. It's not going to do you any good to run from north to south or east to west. A lot of good fishing all over. Just find what you like to fish and fish that. Worms have been the #1 bait still, and I know that's not a fancy thing to say, but it's just a green pumpkin worm. That'll catch you the most fish out here. Guys are catching fish on chatterbaits. I seem to catch about 1 fish a day on a chatterbait. My chatterbait bite just hasn't been going. I've been throwing green pumpkin. I've been throwing black and red. It just hasn't happened for me, but maybe wrong place, wrong time, and I'm really kind of focused in on the pitching and the worming right now. There are some punch fish that are available. If you want to get bigger fish, the bigger fish are starting to perk up on punching, and there's a lot of good stuff to punch. A lot of the guys that are punching bunched up down tules, the dead tules. They're not punching the hyacinth, they're punching the dead tules and the kind of debris. So you get in there, think about that if you're punching. A lot of guys are flipping also. What's the difference between flipping, punching, and worming? A lot of times, not a whole lot. When I am doing my worming, I am doing it with a worm that is totally weedless, and I'm trying to get it as far back into cover as I can. Now, can I get into the places that guys are punching and flipping? A lot of times, no, but we're all catching fish in the same areas, and that is tight to cover and slowing down. A lot of times it is so important. I know for me, I have the tendency to fish too fast, and every now and then when I can slow down and I throw it out and let that worm soak, I am picking up fish, and I'm picking up a better class of fish when I'm fishing slower. I've also found that this week for me, I started catching fish in troughs. So at that lower tide, all you need is about 2 to 3 feet of trough in between the bank and the surface vegetation. A lot of times it's tough fishing because you're out 30 or 40 feet to the outside of the matted surface vegetation, throwing over the top of it into that trough. I've caught a few fish in that 3-pound class, and you got to get them over that surface vegetation and just pull them through. And I know sooner or later I'm going to pick up that 5, 6, 7-pounder. How you're going to get it out of that area, that's between you and the fish. But that is a situation that you can catch fish on. So fish the troughs on rock walls. I have been out very early in the morning, and I think I did one trip till dark. I have not found a topwater bite. I maybe get one strike in the morning per day, and it's not a big fish. But if you throw worms or maybe a chatterbait very early in the morning, those fish seem to be more active. It's about a 20-minute bite window. Is it worth getting out here if you have to travel very far to the launch ramp? Probably not. Give it another week or two, that might change, but right now that topwater bite for me just isn't happening. I have had some incidental reports saying guys are catching fish on topwater, so it is happening in some areas. It just hasn't happened in the areas that that I've been fishing. Now, the day that I did really well, I picked up 3 fish. I know one was that I weighed was 5.5, and I'm saying the other 2 were right in that 5, 5 1/4. They were all very early in the morning, just as the sun came up. They were all on worms, other than one that I picked up on a rat. I lost another nice one on a rat. And unfortunately, the better fish that I'm getting happen right before I can film, so I'm not being able to get a lot of those on film, but we've got a little bit going on, so we will have a video coming up with some action footage. I know I've been doing a lot of these tutorial type videos, but we'll have some action videos coming up. Things are starting to perk. With that, you got everything that I know out there. After that, if you got to get a bag that's 20, 25 pounds, you got to talk to Lorenzo, you got to talk to Rob, you got to talk to somebody else. But I can say I'm catching a lot of nice fish in that 3 to 4 pound class, and I am starting to see some bigger fish out there, and they're going to start dropping, not only for me but for all of us. So with that, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to give you a heads up. Hopefully next week I'm going to talk to Rob. I mentioned I had fished out on the track. Rob and I are going to do a video, and it's just going to be about fishing Frank's track, because I know when I got out there, I started off having a slow day, and I was trying to pull my same patterns that I do fishing the channels and the cuts and everything. And Frank's track is just a different animal out here. I don't feel like I'm qualified to give you a full rundown on how, when, why, where to fish Frank's track. So I'm going to talk to Rob. I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions, so you guys that are out there that are wondering why you're not catching a lot of fish in Frank's track, maybe Rob can clear that up for you. We'll have that out in the next week or so. With that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Get out there, send me some reports, have some fun. This is the time to be on the river. It's not too hot, and just a good time. So see you guys out there. Thanks for watching. Good luck.
Nice job.